Hello and welcome to the Week 8 track guide for Chicagoland Speedway. This is the NASCAR NextGen Cup car. Team Conti Sim Performance here, as always, and we're going to take you around Chicagoland Speedway for 30 laps and go over some tips and tricks on how to tackle this place. Chicagoland is arguably one of the raciest intermediate tracks that we visit throughout the year. Obviously, it's not on the real schedule anymore, unfortunately, bad, but it is on the NASCAR schedule. Last time we raced here was during the off season. I had a really fun week there and looking forward to more of the same this coming week, especially with the new dynamic track system. First time we're racing here since the implementation of that a couple builds ago, so curious to see how that affects the racing as well. But even without that, this track has been multi-groove for many years now on the sim. Always provides many viable lanes of racing that change throughout the run, and we'll go over that a bit as we go through these 30 laps. But to begin, we're going to start on the bottom. As we say every week, when we have a track that has multiple lanes, running the bottom more times than not is going to help preserve some tire life, so that's definitely where we want to start off. I'm laying my foot on the brake into the corners, but as I look at my data, most of the time at the beginning of the run, I'm not even really engaging the brake. It's just sort of like putting your foot there to feel better about yourself sort of thing. And that's at both ends. This track temperature right here is a bit warmer than what we did our baseline testing in, so obviously my times are a little bit slower, and I can feel that I do need a little bit more brake pressure on entry, but even so, I'm still not lighting it up. But really, your telltale sign of when to use brake on corner entry to any intermediate track that we go to is if you feel like free rolling into the entry is chattering the front tires. You can typically feel that on the wheel or the pedals if you have run-to motors. If you feel like you're chattering the front tires, you probably need to use a little bit of brake to set the nose and get the car to turn in with a little bit less entry speed. But here, even in this warmer track temp, I feel like I can free roll in and I'm not at the limit of the grip of the front axle. That's going to change throughout the run as the tires fall off and the times get slower. I will actually probably start to use more pressure and actually use the brake as opposed to just free rolling right now. But that's your delineation between when to use brake and when not to. So a nice wide entry into one, aiming to get down to the white line in the center. Just touch it at apex and then slowly track back out. As you track out off of 2, especially as the tires get older, it's very easy to slip the right rear and just spin that tire up as you make your approach to the wall. So if you feel like you're spinning the tire, if you hear the RPM spike a bit and you see that big tracker at the top going into the red while you're full throttle, you know that you are in the gas but not going anywhere. And if you're in the gas and not going anywhere, you might as well use less gas, go the same speed, and save some tire in the process. I'm breaking my cardinal rule of not tracking against session best lap, so I'm going to switch that over, and we're going to go to session best lap. Last lap rather, so there we go, session last lap. Very important here that if you're using the tracker this week and any week with significant fall off, that you use session last lap versus best lap. As I've talked about in the past, when you compare yourself to session best lap and you get deeper into the run, you're trying to race against a time that is not attainable anymore, and that is a very easy way to overdrive the car, cook the tires, and have a terrible run. Feel directionless as you leave because you feel like you're driving well, but everything didn't go to plan. So session last lap. 8 laps in here. I was still able to run my best lap. You know, this is just a race pace here in warmer conditions. This is not me trying to maximize my 30 lap run. This is me thinking, okay, I'm in an A open. I may have to go 50, probably about 50 laps to split my race in half. What's the best way I can save tires early on to get there? And this nice reduced pace early on is definitely the way to go. Talked a lot about 1 and 2. Let's shift focus to 3 and 4 for a couple laps. 3 and 4 is the Achilles heel of a lot of people that try to tackle Chicagoland. Surface level doesn't seem much different than 1 and 2, but it is quite a bit different. Biggest difference are the bumps. As you get down to this white line here, very, very bumpy. You can probably see it a bit in just the car's movement on screen, how much bumpier 3 and 4 is versus 1 and 2. So to combat those bumps, stay off that white line a bit at your lowest point. Still aim to get to the bottom in 3 and 4, but don't try to touch that white line like I did right there in 1 and 2. Stay a little bit off of it. And really, even as the run goes on, you can move up a half a car length, like you can do one of these right here, and you can see it's much smoother. I'm not fighting for grip as much on exit. You can see just a little bit of green back off of exit because I was able to open up the wheel, carry a little bit more throttle, and not go through the harshest part of the bumps. But there are many, many different lanes we can run, and I'll start to move around here in a couple laps, say lap 15 or so. 3 and 4 is a bit harder to move around in than 1 and 2, just because the bumps are massive on the bottom, and they're also still pretty massive, especially as you get up close to the wall. There's a couple of really big moments up there where the car bottoms out. 1 and 2, on the other hand, is really easy to run the top, in my opinion, and I think you'll see a lot of people up there in A opens. And when people start running the top, it is very hard to pass in the bottom. Think about the momentum at the top, allows you to have a corner exit. You think about the draft component of this next-gen car, where when multiple cars get in a lane up against the wall together, going down a straightaway, they're so much quicker than one car by itself on the bottom. Think back to your Pocono races, your Auto Club races, etc. It is hard to complete that pass. If you've got somebody running the fence, you have to make sure that you're either going to clear them on exit, or you're going to come off the corner far enough alongside of them so you get good positioning into the next set of corners. Utilize your side draft, hold them back down the straightaway, overdrive the next corner, and get up in front of them. This is the home to Dale Jr.'s famous slide job call, and if you watch that race, or even if you watch that clip, you remember what was going on right there. I believe it was the 18 running the fence. 42 of Larson's much faster. 42 gets a big run off of 3 and 4 by running the top, swings low into 1, overdrives 1, tries to pull a slider on the 18, and we know what happened from there. He did not clear him, and ultimately did not win the race. But that's the spirit of the slider, though, right? Get a big run off of 4, get a massive run down the straightaway, and try to clear them into the next set of corners, which in that case is 1 and 2. Still 15 in here, plenty of grip. You can see a little bit of brake right there. Just a little bit of brake pressure. I'm going to call it 5%. You can feel that we're starting to approach the limit of the right rear grip on exit, which makes sense at this point in the run. So just not committing to throttle as quickly as I was early on. Like right here, I can feel that I can't quite get to full throttle without slipping the rear. So just kept a bit of throttle out. Started to move my line around there, so moved up to the first seam. It's a little bit slower. That will probably be more advantageous in the race, because that bottom will get rubbered in from all the cars running around the track. But in single car right here, we're going to really have to go up to the top. I'm going to go up to the second seam now. I'm just going to follow this second seam with my left front. You can see I'm committed to throttle really early and watch this momentum on exit. Back into the green versus the lap before, and quicker than the lap before that. It's wide entry into 3, try not to pinch it too much. Get over those bumps and then commit to throttle. A little bit quicker that time. Let's go back to the bottom to demonstrate the difference in momentum. So I'm going to gain time on entry, maybe a little bit in the center, but it's all gone, even before I get off the corner. Look at that. About probably almost a tenth and a half slower on the bottom, 18 in versus running not all the way up next to the wall, but that second seam, 1 and 2. Going to push the limits a little bit more at the line here and go up to the third seam in 1 and 2, which typically isn't great here in single car. Pretty good in the race though, but still going to be faster than running the bottom right there. Should break about even by the time we get to 3 and 4. Back to the bottom of 3 and 4. I'll start moving this line around as well. But typically there's more time to be gained in 1 and 2 than there is 3 and 4 by running anywhere other than the bottom. Back to the second seam. That seems to be the place to go right now to make lap time. Going to gain a lot versus third seam, entry to center. Going to give up a little bit on exit, but still net gain versus the lap before. Let's try this second seam of 3 and 4. Watch the bump right there. Lots of throttle commitment. Good momentum on exit, but overall slower than just running the conventional bottom. Keep the tires a break here for a lap. Go back down to the bottom. Let me explain that again. So I say, let me give the tires a break, go back to the bottom. You can see how much slower I am on exit on the bottom. So obviously not great for lap time. But in tandem with being slower on exit, I'm also using much less throttle on exit because I just don't have the grip to launch up off the corner. That amount of throttle that I'm using on the bottom, using less throttle on the bottom, is going to keep a little bit of load, keep a little bit of wear, some heat out of the rear tires. If you just run the top lap after lap after lap, you're just spiking heat into those tires and you're never getting rid of it. And as they get hot, the issue starts to compound on itself. So run the bottom for a lap or two here, cool them back down, and then make another charge again here next lap. Okay, so back up to the second seam in 1 and 2, a little bit of brake on entry, start feeding throttle into it. Feed throttle. Now I'm going to commit. Good grip. Big lap time gain right there. Should be about a tenth into 3. I'm going to really push here. I'm going to go up to the top, 3 and 4. Hard throttle. A little bit tight. Next to the wall. Should gain some momentum right there. Cut it down to the apron. Pretty good lap overall. It's a little bit messy up top. Try again here now that I know what that feels like. Good 1 and 2. Try 3 and 4 again. Back up entry a little bit more. Back on throttle. That felt better. Gave up a little bit of time, but I liked that lap a lot better. I could do that in the race more often without feeling like I'm gonna hit the fence because I'm getting tight. So that was better. Back down to the first seam here. This is probably not going to be very good. Yeah, just right there, just slipping the right rear all the way from center to exit. Should be about a tenth down into 3. Let's go first seam. I didn't really want to get there, but yeah, there we go. First seam, 3 and 4. Yeah, a little slower. Honestly, I think we're at the point in the run here where that second seam in 1 and 2 and all the way up next to the fence in 3 and 4 is going to be the way to go. Let's take a look. So second seam, 1 and 2, nice straight exit, good forward momentum. Net neutral versus the last lap, back up to the fence. Full throttle, full commitment. Should have a nice big run coming to the line here. And yep, that's a little bit quicker than the lap before. Roll around the bottom here. Keep it nice and low. Actually pretty good back down by the bottom. Little slower versus top, but you can see if we tried to do that 10 laps ago, that top would have been way quicker. because I had enough grip to really commit to throttle and exit. Now that I'm struggling for a little bit of grip on top, this bottom's starting to come back in. Running the bottom in 3 and 4 gained a bunch of time, and I complete the lap only 0.02 off that last lap where I was running up the track. So it's just going to continue to change, and it's going to continue to change even more as you're in a race and the track is heating up from cars on there. The weather will be changing, more than likely getting cooler as the race goes on. And in contrary to real life, when it gets cooler in the sim, it seems like it actually opens up the top to being faster later in the run because you can still maintain that commitment to throttle. But either way, you just have to continue to read the track, search for grip, and not get married to running in one place and developing tunnel vision, if you will, and not changing your line. You also have to make sure that you ignore the people that go straight to the top early on and make a lot of lap time, because those guys are going to come back to you after 15 laps. They're going to have no tires left. Don't get baited into driving the car harder than it needs to be. Oh, yep, see, it's just not really working up there as we approach lap 30. Second seam in 1 and 2 should still be good. Yep. Net positive for sure versus running the bottom. And I'm just going to go back to the bottom here in 3 and 4 since the top is not great. Still really good drive off. And we'll come around to take a checkered on lap 30 at a 31.98. So about 3/4 of a second of fall off there from lap 1 to 30. Again, that is definitely not a hot lap, that 31.2 in this weather. That is strictly long run race pace to give me an opportunity to be fast past lap 30. But grip felt really good there, and you could see the car had lots of maneuverability. Was able to run bottom to top at different points in that run and make lap time in different places, which should be really good when we get into our races this coming week. Biggest thing, just don't overdrive entry. Use that little bit of brake as the run goes on. Watch that throttle usage on exit. Don't light up the right rear tire by using too much throttle. And yeah, as always, search for clean air. Qualify well. Start up front. Think about 2 tires at the end of the race. May be good, but there's a lot of tire wear this week, so you probably will want to test that out before you get into a race and try it. But otherwise, I love Chicagoland. Love racing here. Had a lot of fun the last time we came here, and I think this is going to be another really good week for us, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we do. As always, if you're watching this and you're a client, thank you. If you're watching this and you're not a client, we'd love to have you. Feel free to continue to follow our YouTube page for more videos like this. We typically release these weekly to the public, so keep an eye out for that. Make sure you subscribe to get the notifications. And yeah, Team Conti Sim Performance is here to help. We love what we're doing with the community, and we look forward to continuing on through the rest of Season 3 and beyond. That's all I have. Thank you so much for watching the Team Conti Sim Performance Week 8 Track Guide. My name is Michael Conti, and we'll see you next time.